Brother Phil, you you've been doing this for many many years. Matter of fact, you came to town here about, like I said, about 14 years ago, and you started decoding movies. I mean, you were one of the first that I heard decode a movie. You're talking about origins right now, and there's someone in the chat room that is asking you to speak on this movie. And I know you've been asked, I know you've heard about this movie, recent movie here, Prometheus. And there's a lot of talking heads, a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people do their best shot at decoding it, and it's some good stuff. I mean, it's some good stuff. But I'd like to, when I saw that movie, and I don't know if you recall, Brother Jamal pulled me and you together to do this review on The Day After Tomorrow, and that was back in 2000, whatever. I'd like you to tell us your take on Prometheus in context of what you just said. But before you do, there's a part that I haven't heard anybody address. And when I saw the movie, I said, I don't know if I'll get an opportunity to ask him or if he's even on that page right now. But there's a part of the movie, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I will say this. It wasn't the issue that they were telling you in the movie who they were and what they were and all of that, what you just said. They basically admitted it in the movie. The thing that blew me away as I was sitting there watching it with discernment is that nobody has asked the question, why did the character, this being, the engineer, why did they want to come back and destroy the earth? Why would he want to come back and destroy his creation? And I want you to have at it. Now we can take a little break here if you need to, but I want you to have at it. And for the people who've been waiting in the queue with your calls, bear with us. You're being fed now. Brother Phil can stay and answer questions if he chooses to, but I just want you all, like myself, to just absorb the energy of what the brother is sharing with us and think about it and then look at it. But, brother, we can take a short break here so everybody can stretch, get a glass of water, whatever they need to do, and then we'll come right back, okay?
All right.
Yes, I had to bring some Earth, Wind, and Fire in there, especially in light of some of the things you've been sharing with us today, Dr. Valentine. I want to just make a mention. If you're just now joining us, I have some callers in the queue. Give us a few minutes. We asked the good doctor a question. We want to get his answer, and then we're going to start taking some of your questions. As well as in the chat room, if you have a question you have for Brother Dr. Phil Valentine, please type it in the chat room if you don't want to call in. The call-in number for those of you who are just now joining us from Facebook or from Blog Talk is 347-202-0471. Dr. Valentine.
Yes, sir.
Well, before we went to the break, and even that song takes on a whole new meaning, Evil from Earth, Wind, and Fire. That song was put out in 1973.
Mm-hmm.
There was a scene, there's an underwriting theme in that movie, Prometheus, and nobody's addressed it. I haven't heard anybody on in any of the mainstream alternative shows, any in our circle of the young brothers who decode these movies and whatnot, and they do a good job. But I haven't heard anybody address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Why was this being... Well, first of all, you saw the movie, right? You saw it.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What was it? Why was this being... The minute he found out who these people were, he went on a rage, and he was determined to get up and get back and undid what they did. I have my own theory. I want to hear, and the family wants to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I could only base what I know relative to the story of Prometheus.
Right.
And the secret is, when you want to do decoding of movies, you look at the movie, check the theme of the movie, and then you'll see that there's always some form of Greek tragedy or Greek mythology connected to it. Notice now the Wrath of the Titans and all of this. It's all
sir.
Greek mythology. So you have to go back to Greek mythology and find out who Prometheus was. Prometheus essentially was one of the gods, one of the messenger gods, and at that point, the gods had created this entity that the gods found were mistakes. Now, why were they mistakes? Because an integra or a specific factor was created into this particular creation that when they recognized the potential of what this thing is that they created, they found out that this thing would most likely evolve or to grow to be stronger or to take over the gods, to, in other words, destroy the gods, come after them. So what happened was there was a banishment or a rejection into the garbage bin of all creative mistakes. Man was thrown into this pit by the gods so that they would not develop. And what happened is there were these savage, mindless entities that were there that were, living in caves, living in darkness. Okay, does that sound familiar?
Yes, sir.
So the gods now banished them and said, this is a dangerous entity that we have created. Do not mess with it. Leave it alone. But Prometheus now was interested in this creation because they began to look at it and he felt sorry for it. In other words, you're looking at the the same Christ redemptive situation with the whole thing is having to do with redemption. Prometheus stole the fire of knowledge, the fire of enlightenment, the fire of upliftment, the fire of ascension, and went down and taught man, this entity, this creature, how to take care of itself, how to find the higher values in itself, what to do with the fire, how to mold the fire into something good rather than bad, how to uplift themselves. When the gods found out that this is what Prometheus did, Prometheus was chained to a rock where birds or eagles or vultures, whatever, would pick at his body, eating away at his eyes and every part of him, and then at the end, after he had been picked clean, he would then be regenerated again for that same thing to happen over and over and over. So that was his curse as Prometheus. This is the archetypal story. Now, Fast forward to Prometheus. The reason why these entities were so, now they gave you two sides to the story. They told you that Prometheus was represented by this entity who they killed and threw into the water supply. His genetics in the water supply, again, remember the waters of life, drugged by these animals, began to cause the animals to be able to ascend based upon these genetics being in the water. So this is now, he's giving excuses to his ascension through evolution based upon him coming upon the, quote, waters of life. And he now, taking in that water, began to transcend from the ape into the man. This is how, I guess, the undertow or the subtext of that part in the beginning was supposed to actually be given, that subtext. Fast forward to the time when man now advances to the point where he begins to go looking for his origins and his God. Nobody else was actually looking for no God at that time. We already found God within. This creature does not know who he is. He puts his origins in the hands of gods because he can't see his origin as God. He cannot see himself as a folded over version of the Creator itself because he does not have that ability, being a second order entity, not a first order entity like the original black man is. He is a second order entity, which is a harmonic or offshoot of the first order entity's mindset. So when he goes back to find out why does the Creator want to kill him off? Because the Creator knows that Creator, the one he is supposed to have been made in the image and likeness of, you know that Creator was one low-life bastard. So that's his Creator. So what else would his Creator do but try to destroy his own creation? Because that's exactly what he does. Didn't George Clinton say America eats its young?
Check. Mm-hmm.
So what you're looking at is the child coming back to find the father saying, I created you and I was going to destroy your ass. I put beacons out all over the creation to find your ass, and every time I found you, I would use these creatures that would gestate inside of you and destroy you. So he was using these creatures, these aliens that you see, as bioweapons to destroy his creation because he did not want that creation to come back to destroy him because he knows that creation was made in his own image and likeness. So yes, he had to destroy that creation because his life was in jeopardy because that creation, once he knew his gods, once they met up and he says, well, I am your God and your creator. Well, hell, I done got to this point now. I don't know where you are. I done figured you out. The next thing he knows he would have done, because that's exactly what he would have done as the creator, was to destroy the creator and take over the creator's spot.
Okay. All right.
So that's
Makes
what
sense
he
to
wanted
me.
to do. He wanted, the whole story was the gods were fearful of man because man had the potential to be gods.
Yes. That story repeats.
Yes. Right. And in Clash of the Titans, that's exactly what it is they feared when the intermediary between the gods and man in Perseus showed you that.
Indeed. Well, Dr. Blair, I'm sorry, Dr. Valentine. I'm looking at our stuff for tomorrow, but for those of you who don't know, I do have Dr. Blair's Expanding Consciousness. If you're just joining us for the first time on this network, we will be here tomorrow, this same time slot for Dr. Blair's Expanding Consciousness. Brother Valentine, here we go. We have some callers. We have some people that want to know. We have questions in the chat room. They're saying, teach on Prometheus and some other things. You ready to field some calls?
What was that you said? He doesn't what?
They wanted you to. Somebody's saying we've got comments in the chat room. They like teach on Prometheus, and they also like the information that you've been sharing about the origin of man, and mankind. So they're feeling you. And now we've got some people that want to talk to you. So I want to take some calls. Area code 954, the last 4 digits, 7039. A first name, where you're calling from, and welcome to the show. What's your question for Dr. Valentine? Okay, 7039. We going once, going twice. 954 area code. Okay, we'll give them a chance to get ready. We're going to go to the next one. Area code 908, last four digits, 3492. Welcome to the program. What's your question for Dr. Valentine?
Greetings and blessings. I have a lot to digest with this show. My question is, with my decision to go to make better choices 2 months ago with Dr. Phil's and Dr. Jewel Pukram and Dr. Africa and so many more. I'm a dark-haired Caucasian, but I've been talking the talk but not walking the walk about being healthy. It is said that we embody 7 generations, and the first month I felt like I was possessed. I felt like my ancestors were saying, go get bison, eat bison raw. So I said, sorry, I'm at the helm now. Is there anything I can do physically or spiritually to facilitate making the switch faster?
From meat to vegetable?
Right, and additionally, I experienced like a lot of mournful crying the first month, like a release of all the pain that I learned of.
Well, it seems like you're having a catharsis right now. Well, as far as releasing carnivorism in view of vegetarianism, that would again probably be connected to your Neanderthal genetics,
right?
Which particularly is based. Do you have canines?
Do I have canine?
Yes, canine teeth.
Presently, and not at the moment because of neglect. My motto lately is, after decades of neglect, it's time to correct. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Europeans, very few Europeans have the teeth that are made for being fruitarians, and African peoples in the name and in the Mourn don't have canines.
Really?
The canine parts actually came in with the incursion of the Neanderthal from the north. So you, in your blood type, may be that you need to keep eating meat, or you need to deal with meat on a basis where you are dealing with, I guess, farm-fed meat or chicken that is actually free range and so forth. If you are thinking about going into vegetarianism, I would suggest you do it slowly and see how your body works in a less carnivorous way. In other words, if you want to be more fruitarian and vegetarian, you can actually help yourself with a product called Juice Plus. And that is also for brothers and sisters out there who wish to know more about Juice Plus, which deals with a combination of 15 fruits and vegetables. That helps to get your blood ready to take in more fruits and vegetables, more phytonutrients.
Right.
But in the removal of carnivorism, I suggest you do it slowly and allow your bloodstream to adapt, because then what you would do is overcompensate for that particular protein, or the feeling for protein, which is a very addictive substance, by the way, by taking on other addictive substances like enhancing more sugar or dealing with more heavier forms of creams and heavier forms of carbohydrates.
Okay, I'm going to have to listen to this on archive. I heard what you said, but okay. Well, I appreciate your answer, and I'm sure there's other callers. So I much gratitude.
You're welcome.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of the program. Continue to listen.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Valentine, we have another caller. I want to, but before the caller brought up some points and came on into the conversation, and you made mention of a product that you and your wife were involved in. That was the last part of this conversation. I wanted you to kind of show us how one of the things that they pulled out all the stops. They're throwing it at the people on the planet is nutrition and diet, that this food is genetically modified and programmed to do a lot of things. I'd like you to kind of address that, if you would, because that is equally as important. We've seen a lot of our scholars and our teachers die because of nutrition. That's part of the war as well. Could you address that, if you would? And then we've got some other callers. Just be a little patient. I want Dr. Valentine to kind of build us a framework for this next segment here.
Yes, by all means. I've had the sad experience of watching one of my mentors definitely fade away because of the ignorance of the people that were around him. It was well-meaning in their attempts to help him, but it was based on ignorance and how do I say it? A lack of understanding of the deeper levels of nutrition and what the human body works like. So they began to hand those mighty warriors over to doctors and people who practice a craft we call poisonopathy. And they essentially didn't die from any kind of old age or any kind of disease that they might have been tagged with. They actually died from the actual cures. And that would have been Dr. John Henry Clark, another brother that I was introduced to, Dr. Amos Wilson, who I attempted to help him, but again, that didn't help as well. And I was there at the final stages of Kwame Ture. I had went as a coalition to Brother Kwame, and we sat and we spoke for a while. And he was taking 9 different types of chemotherapy drugs while I was sitting there in front of him, hoping to get him to not take them. In fact, the nurse had to have special gloves and clothing to actually feed him and to dispose of his waste. And it was the most saddest thing. I was, tears had to be left. And, he was very sure that this was going to work. But we found out 2 months later our beloved warrior had passed on. But just to let you know that the nutrition is something extremely important in us now preparing our cellular network for that ascension process. Our consciousness and the ability for us to process higher levels of consciousness cannot happen if the cells are deficient in their capabilities to process consciousness. So when you poison the bloodstream, which is what we call the liquid crystal medium between us and the Creator, when you poison that crystal receptor, that crystal broadcaster, when you cripple that, you cripple the ability for the body to process higher levels of consciousness. So it is necessary for us to be able to put the proper nutrients into our body so that our cells are acting and reacting to our thoughts with optimum efficiency, because our thoughts are what is motivating our cells to act on not only the conscious, but the subconscious and unconscious, all 3 layers. Our cells are in tune with each one of those layers of our consciousness. And if we are not acting and reacting and proacting in accordance with those 3 levels being under our control and putting in the proper nutrients into our system so that they do not control us on those subcellular levels, we are going to be consistently motivated to be self-destructive in all of our actions. You would not know, because what would happen? When they attacked your subcellular instincts, they attacked the very ability for you to know right and wrong. That's what is happening to our society today. We are thinking that what is legal versus illegal rather than what is right and wrong. Our inner barometer and inner instincts, our higher cosmic instincts, will automatically tell us what is right and wrong. But today, because they have undermined our genetics and we are not in tune with those cosmic instincts, we have to deal with what is legal versus illegal.
Wow.
There's a big difference. So now,
yes, indeed,
the nutrients that we're focusing in on is what we need. Now, the European himself knows that nutrition is the basis of it, And they have factions of Europeans that are working towards saving humanity on a level where they need to save themselves. They understand that we are all in this together. There are others that don't want it, would rather cripple and destroy everything rather than hand it over to the black planet again, give the planet back to the original humans. These people have put together a product that I researched for a year before I brought it out towards and presented it to the people. It's called Juice Plus, and it has a combination of 15 fruits and vegetables. If you add the nutrients of the berries, it's coming up to like 23 to 25 fruits and vegetables with the berries together. And it adds 2 grains that don't have the gluten in it. And so what we did was I checked it out on myself, and it has been incredible. It has been incredible to the point where I did a lecture in New York a year or 2 ago, I think it was 2 years ago, where in New York, a woman who had been on the Juice Plus while she was pregnant came up to the microphone and testified that the APGAR test that is given to babies as soon as they're born to test their response and reflexes, the APGAR test was a 9.5. In other words, 10 is the highest you could get. And she attested to the fact that the doctors were astounded at the action and reaction of the baby, because usually babies born nowadays are anywhere between 6 and 8. Okay? So the Juice Plus feeds the cells at the subcellular level where the nutrition that we're taking in today does not reach. Remember, we have genetically modified food, but on top of that, we have pesticide-laden food. And we have water that is pesticide-laden and poison. We have the air that has the chemtrails, and we have all of our foods. Everything is now polluted. So the pure foods are what are going to be the treasures. Gold ain't going to mean a damn thing. It is the pure food and water that's going to be the treasures in the next 10 to 20 years.
Okay. Here's another caller. Caller in the 910 area code, last 4 digits, 7578. Thank you for holding. What's your first name, and welcome to the program.
Yes, this is Darius calling out of Wilmington. Hotep, Phil Valentine.
Hotep, Brother Darius.
I have a question about the Colorado shooting. I want to know your take on it. 2 days before that shooting happened, Little Wayne, if you could pull it up online, he's in a theater with 12 skeletons behind him. Now, I know about the blood sacrifice, the satanic rituals and things of that nature. I was wondering if them two things are related.
Yes, they are. They're related in the sense that they need an excuse politically to be able to take away your guns and your ability to defend yourself. They have certain types of high-level rituals, blood sacrifices, in order for things to manifest in their own light and according to their time frame and according to what is necessary to manifest or what portals they wish to create. Remember, blood and death, especially war zones where multiple murders take place, death on a large scale, that's a place where you feed. That's where a place where second-order entities feed, because people will tell you, they will tell you, especially soldiers who have come back that I've spoken to, that when they survey a battlefield after death, and you see multiple hundreds of people that have died, there is this lingering energy above the bodies. It almost looks like a mist, even though it's not misty. This is what those second-order entities live from. It's blood sacrifice, the spilling of blood, the horror, the type of release of energies. That's what it is. Most sacrifice is about the release of the spark of energy. And one of the stronger and more powerful sparks of energy are youths, young people. That's why young people are sent to war. 18, 19 through 25 and 30. These are the ones that's out there fighting and dying. So multiple sacrifices, especially the one with the children, these children being sacrificed. This is something where you have MK Ultra and all the rest of these Monarch Mind Control and the rest of them. And again, remember, what color was his hair when he appeared in the room?
It was orange.
Yeah, orange, red. Same kind of color that you're dealing with when you're dealing with the Neanderthal. Understand that we're looking also, of course, it was supposed to be the Joker. He's supposed to have been a clown. But again, you can't have the equipment that they said this good fool had to raise between 20 and 30,000. Now they said he used it. The excuse is, and again, this is the way that they keep playing the excuse. The excuse for them is to actually look at the and deal with the use of his college fund to buy these guns. But yet still he was a what was he now? He was a student of neuroscience.
Mm-hmm.
And he himself had been using certain experiments on himself. Come on, this is all game. The same way they need these sleepers to wake up to give excuses. And you got to remember there is an election year coming up.
Yes, sir.
And they have to
Indeed.
take away the guns from the people. And they have already signed, or remember Obama done signed about 80 executive orders?
Yes.
Now, what's getting ready to happen down the line? What's getting ready to happen? So that, man, I'm not talking about the fact that news has come out that the military is about to perform a coup against Obama.
Yeah, I've heard that, and it's a buzz, and it's not just conspiracy theorists either. I got another caller on, Doctor. Let's see here. Area code 908, last four digits, 9530. Your first name and what's your question? Be brief because we have a lot of people in the queue. Thank you for being on the program.
Phil, Paul Cooper, New Jersey. How you doing?
Hey, Paul, how are you doing, buddy?
Phil, my questions go back to the rap music, very short. Is subliminal messages playing a big role in rap music today?
Very much so. The subliminal messages are actually being put into the cartoons that our children are being viewed. I mean, they become more and more sophisticated and digitalized. The way the televisions are being created now is to download information at a more rapid rate as well as a more clearer and more succinct rate to entrain us. Now with these new pads with the Galaxy 2 and the Galaxy 3, these are old. If you look at the Galaxy 2 and the Galaxy 3 and all the rest of these things, these are old. Look at Wesley Snipes' movie that came out called The Art of War. And you will see him using that kind of technology. And this was done when? Back in 2000? Or even before that? Who knows? What I'm saying is subliminal suggestions and subliminal materials that we're looking at, all the subliminal movies that are out there, all the subliminal things that are being played into, you can shut off your TV screen and just look at a commercial without the sound, and you will see exactly how they're playing with your mind. What is called strobing has a way of bypassing your conscious filter and going directly into your subconscious and unconscious mind. So everything that they're doing with the technologies today is to enhance the entrainment of information, to stultify your movements, to actually put packets of information. They can download packets of information now in the form of light into your subconscious.
Thanks a lot, Phil. I appreciate the answer.
You're most welcome, brother.
Thank you, Paul. Let's see here. We're going to try this again. Area code 954, your last four digits, 7039. Your first name, and what's your question for Dr. Valentine?
Oh, my first name is Rabbi, and my question for Dr. Valentine is, just wanted to understand, like hip hop as it relates to, like, I guess it's a spin-off of the same question that the brother just had about the subliminal, but you know, it's like, what do you really think about, like, the public PE, KRS-One, those groups, you know, and then especially Rakim?
I already had spoken about Rakim and all of the originators of true hip-hop. Those are the gods of that genre. I've spoken about, Public Enemy. Professor Griff is a close friend of mine. I've spoken about those who actually were speaking the message above the music, and they themselves got shut down. So
yes.
these are the people of your generation who actually had something to say to you by carrying on the tradition of putting the message, the description of our condition, on top of the good music that allows for us to feel the definition more than understand. So what it is we got both sides, the description and the definition, when we listen to our music in a whole context, not in a fragmented context, the way they took rap and put it directly into thug and all the rest of these superficial, materialistic nonsense. That's not where we were. That's not where we were supposed to go. Imagine us going from earth, wind, and fire, who dealt with our higher spirituality and uplifting ourselves as a people, over to this jackass like Lil Wayne and the rest of these people spreading money in front of you with their pants below their asses and all the rest of that. Ain't the dream. That was not the dream. That's not what Malcolm was talking about. That's not what Marcus Garvey was talking about. That's not what the people that you and the younger people are supposed to respect when they were out there giving their lives for what it is we were doing here. That's not what it looked like when they actually forwarded the vision and the dream. And I'm saying it's time for you to pull your pants up, stop tatting yourself with all kinds of different pieces of information that ain't got nothing to do with the upliftment of people. We've turned into feminized, unproductive eunuchs.
Wow.
And that's exactly what he wanted to do to us.
That's
so
pathetic.
Talk to your brothers and sisters. Turn them around, have them pull their pants up, and if they want to talk about fighting anything and they want to talk about wetting anybody, they need to go and fight the real enemy.
Yes, indeed. Caller 336 area code, last four digits 8266. Your first name and what's your question for Dr. Valentine?
Okay, this is Sean giving you a call. My question is it's brief. It's a real quick question. I'll get right to it. Dr. Phil, I just want you to speak on, real briefly if you will, speak on the correlation between the adornment of the solar metals worn by these early hip-hop artists in contrast to the newer rappers but not MCs that choose, the platinum adornment over the gold. And is this related to in any way, the generated record sales? How does that overlay, between the light body paradigm shift? Was there?
Well, it's interesting, very interesting you should say that, because of what gold actually meant to our ancestors. The gold that we are using today is an artificial gold. It's not even real gold. The gold that they're using on the hip-hops, you couldn't turn that back in for a box of Cracker Jacks.
Right.
Those people who are giving us the gold, the man, I forgot the name of the dude that makes all the hip-hop jewelry for all the hip-hop artists.
Jacob the jeweler.
Right.
Yeah.
He ain't no real gold, and if it is using any real gold, that's the gold. That's the worst kind of gold you got.
Right.
The true gold was actually made by our ancestors out of air. Now, most people don't understand that everything has its basis in hydrogen. You can weave hydrogen into any other metal because all metals are actually different types of folds of the hydrogen molecule. All you have to do is to understand the principle of how hydrogen is worked through alchemy, and you could create gold out of thin air. That's what the pharaonic gold was actually made out of. Alchemic gold was made out of air, thin air. They weaved it out of that with a process, which is why that's the most precious gold, and why they went in there rifling the Amentutuk's treasuries and all the treasuries of ancient African kings. That kind of gold ain't the kind of gold you dig out of the ground. They call the gold that dug out of the ground the lower form of gold. The gold that your ancestors weaved came out of the air. So the gold that they're using is symbolic. And even, what's his name, who was Jay-Z's sidekick, who came out with the scarab on his neck. Who was Jay-Z's protege again? You kids supposed to know.
I forgot.
Yeah, well, he came out with, I forgot, he came out with this big scarab on his chest as if he was doing us in the underground metaphysical community and the Kemetic conscious community a favor. You understand? He didn't do us a favor. And with Jay-Z coming out with his Illuminati and the pyramid and all that, that's all clowns. They are all clowns. They are not the ones that are actually forwarding the consciousness of our people. They're only playing with symbols. and pretending to have the deeper knowledge. And if it is a deeper knowledge that they're actually pretending to have, it's the one given to them by their masters and handlers.
Indeed. Caller 604 area code, last four digits 1177. Your first name and what's your question for Dr. Phil?
Peace, gentlemen. My name is Edward. My question has a bit of a background story. I'll try to be brief. Recently, a few months back, a story surfaced about a young girl in Mexico that actually managed to get pregnant. I think she was only about 10 or 12 years old. I was speaking with a lady, a family friend, who's a social worker, and she mentioned that that would be possible if a young girl is molested from a very young age for a long period of time. I'm sure, Dr. Phil, you're familiar with studies that have been done on the brain where a particular movement is thought of and then a particular movement is actually executed, and the same portion of the brain is stimulated. I think this would relate to the media, and I just would like you to maybe touch on the way that this might work, if it is related to the music, if there's, with the subliminal messages again, having an influence on this type of development in our children. Thank you.
Of course, yes. And you can't forget the radical use of certain molecules in the form of soy or certain types of genetically engineered soy, the one that causes a radical increase in the phytoestrogens within the soy. In fact, it's the genetically modified form of soy that causes an increase in the phytoestrogenic content of the soy. It isn't the original soy that has the highest levels of the genistin and all of the other endocrine disruptors. It's the new one that the United States and Britain had geoengineered and caused a fast-forwarding or an increase of the phytoestrogenic materials and endocrine disruptors in the ones that they're giving to our children in the form of the bottled Similac and all the rest of these, that's causing the young girls to go through radical puberty, or the young boys to be stultified in their puberty. In fact, young girls are really, accelerating ahead. I've had records or experiences with girls 8 and 9 years of age, their parents calling me and telling me that they've begun bleeding with their menstrual cycle at 8 and 9 years of age. When I asked them, what have you been feeding the child? They've been feeding the child meat, the chicken, and of course the child was raised on Similac instead of the mother's breast milk. So there is a definite connection to that, but of course, as you were saying, that the tonal as well as frequencies of the music also can cause a disturbance in the frequencies that the cells use to operate within the body. And you can do that by messing with the hypothalamus gland. It is the hypothalamus gland that actually regulates the endocrine gland, and if you can play certain types of frequencies that would disrupt the operation of the hypothalamus gland, you can cause it to accelerate or put out its hormone material or hormone-creating material or hormone-stimulating material, luteinizing material, that would create an accelerated growth in that young girl's body. So, yes, the music that they're playing, those frequencies do have an effect on the physical body and on the brain, and the drum beat, which can entrain the heart and cause it to not beat in the time that it was actually made to, and that time is 6/8, not 4/4. And then take that entrainment along with the downloading of the drinks, alcohol, and so forth. All of these have estrogenic, as well as the air you're breathing, the foods that they're eating afterwards, the fast foods. All of these affect the young girls and young boys today, definitely.
Thank you, caller, for your participation. Area code 910, last four digits 7840. First name, and what's your question for Dr. Valentine? 910 area code going once, going twice. Okay. Let's move on. We've got one of our regular listeners, Steve from the UK. Did you have a question for Dr. Valentine? Welcome to the show in the UK.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, greetings, Tony. How are you this evening?
We're well. We're very well. Thank you for joining us across the water.
That's okay. It's always a pleasure. Greetings, Reverend Valentine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Yeah, I've got a quick question, actually. Thanks for putting me on. In regards to, there's been a lot of talk recently about what products we should and shouldn't eat. And I think I heard someone, I wasn't sure if it was yourself, who touched on something a while ago, who was talking about whether we should be eating foods such as nuts. I just wanted to see if you could help clear up the situation at all.
I believe someone asked me again, I might have been you, who asked a question about the eating of nuts. And there are some nuts, of course, basically that are actually carbohydrate in nature. Others have more protein. I say to take on the seeds, which, again, people said it's not good to eat seeds, but because seeds themselves have a contained and very concentrated amount of nutrients, because that's what they're becoming, they need those nutrients to actually become what they are. It's good to eat seeds, especially for men. The pumpkin seeds are excellent for men when soaked for about 3 to 4 minutes in purified water. There are certain things like sesame seeds, which are pretty good. They contain a certain type of fat and oil that are excellent for the body when eaten raw, of course, and organic. There are certain types of nuts as well that I would definitely suggest. Walnuts are good. Pecans, Brazil nuts, as well as macadamias for the fat content in there that are excellent. But each one of these nuts, the types of nuts that you should be eating should be organically grown. And all nuts, because they are by nature seeds, they would actually take water from your body. So it's always good, I recommend, that you soak nuts in water for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes to 5 minutes, depending on their size, and then eat them. No. Hello?
Yes, we're still here. Thank you, Steve. Brother Valentine, let's do this. We've got a few minutes left, and I really wanted you to talk about, especially in light of the information that you shared with us, moving forward, whatever they're doing, it hasn't worked. They've done a lot of damage, and we've talked about it, but it hasn't worked. What's in store for us? What are things that, especially with this young generation, these souls ain't having it, and yeah, they get a lot of them to follow behind the Jay-Z's and the Lil Waynes, but it's a lot of them that are just pulling out and going toward the higher frequencies of enlightenment. What would you tell them as some things that they could do to kind of enhance their journey through this process called Ascension?
That's a good question, and it's very difficult in a time of so much distractions. Back when I began to enhance my needs towards greater and more enlightenment, I had the libraries. I had the different bookstores that sold the books that were essentially very hard to find. I searched all around to find these books, and I read more than I was looking at TV. I got into reading more, and I say this to the young brothers and sisters, especially the young brothers, not so much the sisters, though. You know, in my book, The Wounded Womb, I speak about women who read too much and what that does to their estrogen, and a lot of people don't believe that, but of course, they'll have to wait for another 3 or 5 years before it's proven and before some European tells them that this is what happens. And then they'll say, oh, well, that's what I heard. So I'm not worried about it. I will say I have come to find and so forth and make sure that I say it so that I would do my best to research and then speak the truth. But I would say that reading shuts down any other kind of peripheral disturbances that come in to distract you. What reading does is that it causes both sides of your brain to work. It causes you to become focused into the words of the author, and the words now take on a meaning based upon your own brain and your own voice and your own head reading these words that become you. And this reading turns on the beta mind, and it takes you into beta mode, which puts you into a more alert mode, a more understanding mode. Television and looking at TV and looking at a screen puts you into alpha mode. You don't have any control over the information that's coming into your mind. When you read, you are controlling that information, which means there is more of a filter of decipherment for you to actually get into the words and cause you to have to crunch the data, digest it organically. When you are looking at it on screen, your complete critical and analytical mind shuts down, and all of it starts just pouring into your head. Now, of course, if you're listening to what's being said, for instance, when you're looking at YouTube and you're writing what you're listening to, and you're then stopping the film and the tape, and you're writing down what you feel the information means, that means that you're actually using that information in a more beta, in a more theta. You're using more areas, more frequencies of your brain waves, more different patterns of your brain waves to crunch the data, rather than just allowing that the light and the pixels and the entrainment of that digital light coming into your brain, hypnotizing you with information. So I would recommend that brothers and sisters begin to enhance their ability to get into the language that has been imposed on us. Why am I saying that, brother? I'm saying that at the particular time, because of the fact that the education system has been made to cripple us, we have to become more understanding of our condition, not just based upon the descriptions we've been forced to have and to make of our reality, but to get behind the definition. That's what we're looking for. Not just the descriptions of the reality we're in, but to read and to analyze and dig deep to get the definitions of our reality, and then we'll have both sides of our brain working. So the more you work towards finding yourself, reading, analyzing, going into 3 and 4 dimensions of a specific subject to find out what's behind it, that's what that brain, when you start developing all 4 corners of your head in your brain, that begins to now draw you and attract you to other things on that level, and you get higher and higher knowledge. Now, how do you impart that to the next brother and sister? Well, guess what? As soon as your brain starts to change the way you think, your genetics begin to change too. You can write your own genetics by changing your mind. Once your mind begins to think on cosmic levels, your genetics begins to ascend to that level. That's the ascension process, to bring your mind to that place where you're thinking on higher thoughts and you're allowing the universe to give you the download rather than your computer. Then what happens is your genetics begins to rewrite themselves, and that's what you pass on to the next generation. That's what the mitochondrial library now has, and the Alexandrian library is actually the mitochondrial library, and that's where it is. It's in our young men and our young women, especially in the young women, because they're the ones who carry on the mitochondrial imprint of our people. So when our women are going astray, it means that somebody is burning the Alexandrian or the mitochondrial library in the head and in the actions of our women. We need to capture them back to begin to have them at our side, and we have to get back into who we are, to change the way that they destroyed our genetics, to bring it together, to rewrite our genetics, and by doing so, rewrite our destiny.
There it is. Brother Phil, Brother Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine, I want to thank you once again for this time you shared with me and for the work and the contributions that you've made, not only for me but a lot of other people. The minutes that we have left, tell us how we can get in touch with you. Give us all your contact information.
Well, I would be happy to. And again, once again, I want to thank the family for their kind attention. The numbers to get in contact with me would be 1-800-847-1291. Again, 1-800-847-1291. 847-1291. Just leave a message there. And if you're interested in our university, you can call that same number. If you're interested in acquiring the product Juice Plus, then you can call that number and I'll get back to you. Or you can go to my website at Rethink, that's RETHINK, Juice Plus, JUICEPLUS.com, rethinkjuiceplus.com. And when you get on there, just click the resources button, scroll down, and look at the videotape this European doctor put together. It's called The Whole Truth, and it will tell you exactly what it is that whole fruits and whole foods and vegetables are actually doing to help re-energize your genetics, to help repair your genetics. And if you want to check out our university, just go to uksnow.org. Again, uksnow.org. And number again, 1-800-847-1291.
Thank you again so much. And Dr. Valentine, I'm sure you would agree. Matter of fact, I know you would agree. You see it from a different vantage point. We're going to make it, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. Again, I am very, very heartened by the responses of our brothers and sisters on Facebook. I am watching the definition now, and the definitional analysis is here, and I'm happy to see that.
Indeed, indeed. Anytime you have anything you're doing, you got this platform. You know that. It exists in part because of your work. So
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much, and I'm hoping to do, some more shows with you. I enjoyed myself.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed the brothers and sisters. Very insightful in their questioning. I congratulate you all, and keep up the excellent work.
Yes, we will. And thank all of you. The Light 08 experience exists because you want it to exist, and you listen to us, you tell people. I've got a global community, and we do all we can because, remember, we are all we have. Circulate the love, circulate the blessing, and remember that we are here because we want to be, and we are all we need. Take care. God bless you and keep you. For those of you, remember tomorrow, join myself and Dr. Delbert Blair, another profound mind, as we do Dr. Blair's Expanding Consciousness here on the Light 08 Experience.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.